In this session I'll be talking about mood boards. So mood boards are effectively used by designers to, well, for a few reasons really. I mean, one is to sort of clarify their ideas. So after being given a design brief, it's very likely they're going to be trying to push their design into a certain style or to meet a certain context. So it's useful to look at various images to kind of get the feel, the emotional responses, the design style, I suppose. And a mood board is one way of doing this, by looking at contemporaries, looking at sources for information, collecting images and collecting samples and things to help put across that feel for the design. I mean, another way they're used obviously is to then clarify this information to a potential client. So if you had a client, producing a mood board is one way to ensure that the communication between you and them is correct. So if they've set you a particular task for your design project or for your company, I suppose, the mood board is one way to ensure that what you're doing as a designer is getting the right sort of feel across for their designs and their styles. So this is an example of a mood board that Year 11 student has produced in product design. As you can see, they've collected a range of different images. I very much insist upon trying to produce collect as many images as possible for the page, okay, but effectively trying to get a general style or feel is a good thing to do. Now, a lot of students, what they tend to do, if they've been set the task for a particular thing, like, I don't know, design a piece of furniture inspired by pop art, is they will go on to the internet and they will just search for pop art furniture, or I don't know, postmodernist furniture or something like this, or stuff in the style of Ettore Sottsass, and you end up with a page that's filled with images of Ettore Sottsass's wardrobes that he done in the Memphis style and stuff. Now, this isn't really the idea of mood boards. The idea is to be a bit more diverse and to go to multiple sources when you're actually sourcing the information. So, products, architecture, art, jewelry, cultural references, any of these sorts of things can be a source for information, can be a source for you to be inspired in terms of your mood board. And you can see here the student he's looked at a fairly wide variety of different things. Okay, so first of all, making sure that you're using lots of images, but getting from multiple sources. And it's also a good idea to actually go out and about and take your camera out with you. So this student has not really done that, but it's a way to enhance it, to actually go out with your camera or your phone, as you've probably got now, and to actually get some real life primary research to go with your mood board, and it will complement it, will make it look better. Okay, the other thing I'd suggest you can do is actually get some tactile elements on the mood board as well. So again, the student's not done it here, but where he's got sort of images of this sheep and things and this like squidgy little foam frog that goes in the bath, there's no reason why you couldn't actually get some physical samples of fabrics and things and actually include these onto the mood board as well, because it just makes the mood board that much more tactile and more interesting, and it gives you a real sort of connection with what you're actually seeing on the board there as well. Okay, now what I do like the student has done to an extent is over here he's obviously done a little bit of an analysis of the sort of images that he's collecting, and he's talking about probably mood boards. Now, this is useful for the examiner because it introduces the page, but it's also it gives a bit of a way of tying all these images together and actually make it a bit more useful, I suppose, to you as a designer. Remind you the fact that you've got a task at hand, you're meeting a design brief or a context or something like this. Okay, so it's quite nice to analyse the images. What I also like the students to do is to include the actual sources where they're getting some of these images from. So it's quite easy on PowerPoint. If you right click some of the images, you can include sort of a hyperlink into this. So literally when the examiner or whatever clicks on the image, it will link them off to the site where that source has come from, or it could even link to a piece of information relating to the image. I mean, I like the hyperlinks. I also like it done in analysis. So there's no reason why your mood board just needs to be images. It's nice to have some little text descriptions that go with it, and actually some actual words as well. I mean, it's words are quite powerful, and also the choice of typography and stuff can also enhance your mood board and give another feeling of a certain style. If we went for very serif type text, we use a very formal sort of thing with the little feet at the bottom and edges. This is giving a certain sort of feel, as opposed to if we do a more italicized sort of text or whatever. These are completely different to each other. They give very different feels about what we're actually seeing, and this can be used to complement your mood board and give across that emotive response as well to the person who's going to be looking at it. Okay, now the one last piece of advice I'd give, and I give this to my students as well, it's very tempting when you're creating a mood board to open up Internet Explorer or Chrome or some sort of browser, go into the Google image search and just type in, I don't know, natural forms or something like this. Okay, it's a classic sort of thing that people do. You then get a huge page of images coming up, or I don't know, cultural responses to a certain country, and then you proceed to then just right click and copy paste all these images onto your page. I really strongly encourage you not to do this, okay, because basically you do not know where that source is coming from, and I instruct my students always to visit the actual page itself. Okay, not only will make sure that the sources that you're using are legitimate, so they actually are what you're looking for and they're not just, I don't know, a page from someone's eBay shop or something like this. Okay, it also will give you additional information. You'll probably find it very interesting if you start reading in and doing a bit of a quest, I suppose, a bit of a web quest in terms of what you're doing. Okay, so that's my advice, I suppose, when you're using mood boards. So basically, lots of images is nice, but make sure you're using, legitimate sources. You can include sort of analysis, you can include text. I encourage people to use typography as well to make this more introducing, to help to introduce the page, and also making sure that you can consider using hyperlinks to actually link off these images to information, just to make this page as interesting as possible.